All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome. So I require your permission tonight to coach you. So type in the chat box, would it be okay? Do I have your permission to coach you? I just see some things happening, not necessarily in the team, but I see some things maybe that are going to happen because of what's happening in the world. And I just want to help to bring your awareness to something that you might have a blind spot to. Maybe you're already aware of it. Maybe you're not aware of it. I'm just going to bring it up. We'll talk about it, have your opinions about it, feel however you want to feel about it. Something that I work hard to do in my own life is to try and pay attention to human behavior. A lot of why I do what I do is because I'm fascinated by why people do what we do. How many of you would agree that humans are just unique? We're so individualized. We're so unique. We're so special. We're all like snowflakes, right? Did you know that no single snowflake has the exact same design, right? So all of us are like snowflakes in that way. We all are so unique. We're so individual. We're so special. We all have unique gifts, stories, passions, beliefs, values, relationships, sexual preferences, religious preferences, political preferences, right? So we're all individual in that way. And at the same time, you know what else we are? We're completely and utterly predictable. Humans are also predictable. Type in the chat box. How many of you would also agree with that? That we're all wildly unique and also predictable. Okay. So I have a prediction based on my experience, based on human observation, based on what I'm already seeing, and I just want to bring it to your awareness. This team on fire right now. This team putting up massive numbers right now. This team setting all kinds of records in international expansion for isogenics. How many of you would like to keep that going? How many of you would like to keep that going? Okay. Human nature dictates that we will always revert back to our level of training. We'll always go back to the lowest common denominator of what we're accustomed to in our life. So for example, and it's a unique situation, and it's different than anything we've ever experienced in our world's history, of course. This whole environment is so new. But what you'll notice, for those of you that are in countries where things are starting to open up a little bit, like here, things are starting to open up a little bit, type in the chat box, where are people going? Now that things are opening up, where's one of the first places you see people going? What are some of the things you're seeing people do? Type in the chat box. Where are they going? Restaurants and bars. Notice that. Restaurants and bars. Shopping. Boom. Right? The pubs. Boom. Malls. Boom. So people are running back to all of the things that probably put themselves into a position that when things did go into lockdown, made their lockdown situations that much more uncomfortable. So think about that for a moment. So we come into lockdown, people are experiencing financial stress, people are experiencing emotional stress, people are experiencing mental stress, right? People are experiencing relational stress. And instead of taking a moment to evaluate some of the choices that they made that may have lent themselves to being in compromising positions, we race right back to what we know and to what's comfortable. So the thing I want to bring to your awareness is, even though the weather is getting nicer, and even though the governments in some countries are saying, hey, we want you to go back to your normal life, which I want for all of everybody also, what's really important is that you stay laser focused on the sense of urgency that you've had lately, on the discipline that you've had, on the commitment that you've had to work in your business. Because let's make no mistake, just because the governments say, hey, go back to restaurants and bars, type in the chat box. How many of you would agree? Just because they say restaurants and bars are open, all of a sudden the economy's better? No, right? we're looking at something that's going to require years for recovery potentially. And so what I'm being cognizant of in my own life, and I'm just bringing to your awareness, is how easily and how quickly might I allow myself to get distracted simply because I want to go back to what's comfortable. I want to go back to spending weekends on packed beaches or at bars with my friends, although that's not really something I do anymore, right? But how quickly am I willing to start to go back to sleep and to ignore the things in my life that caused me some kind of discomfort previously? See, all that's happened for a lot of people is essentially the exploitation of the choices that we made that put us in a certain position where we are today, regardless, right? That could happen in any environment. How many of you would agree with that, right? We make choices, something happens in our lives, we kind of look around and go, oh, okay, maybe I made some choices that lent themselves to me being in the position I'm in my life right now. But what you're going to see people do, because they're in such a race to get back to what feels controllable and certain and normal, is they're going to race back to trying to make life as simple as similar to what it was before all of this happened, regardless of whether or not they actually liked their lives before all of this happened. Think about what I just said. People are going to race back to something that 90 days ago to 5 months ago they complained about every single day. Now, there's great irony in that, wouldn't you agree? There's great irony that people are racing back to something that 3 or 4 months ago they complained about. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, because maybe there's an inherent sense of gratitude of like, wow, maybe I shouldn't have complained about my job so much. Maybe I shouldn't have complained about my boss so much because that paycheck made a big difference to my family. Maybe I shouldn't have complained about the traffic on the way to work because at least I had a place to go. So maybe there's an inherent sense of getting back to normalcy for that regard, because there's a new sense of appreciation for what might have felt like it was taken away from them. But the reason I want to bring this to your attention is because right now you're going to see your friends, your family, people on your teams, people in this company start to also go back to what they know. And what I want to invite all of you to do is to not get caught up in the idea that rushing back is going to move you forward. Something I really want you to take some time to think about is understanding what are the results I've created in my life, not because I was into quote unquote lockdown, not because of the global health experience that we've had, not because of any of those things. What were the choices that I made? What was my attitude that lent itself to me feeling more productive, more energized, more focused? Who were the people that I was no longer surrounded by that weren't bringing down my energy, that weren't stealing from my hopes, my dreams, and my beliefs? And so that's the one thing I want to bring to your awareness tonight, is to really, before we just go right back to it all, pause, evaluate, strategize, be intentional. I'm not saying don't go back to the bars with your friends. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying don't go to the parks, the museums, enjoy the nice weather. Please go live your life to the degree that we can safely. What I am saying is be very careful that your ego doesn't trick you back into a normalcy and a complacency that wasn't getting you the results that you've been getting just in the last 30 to 60 to 90 days because you want to feel some idea of safety or comfort. Because that's the lie that people are going to tell themselves. The lie is, I'm comfortable and I'm safe when I'm going to the bars. I'm comfortable and I'm safe when I can go do whatever I want to do. I'm comfortable and I'm safe there, even though the choices that I'm making aren't lending themselves to me having the results that I want in my life. I'm willing to go back to that for the sense of security and certainty and safety, even though they were just hopefully real, even though they just had this massive world experience that said, no, those things don't lend themselves to security and fulfillment and purpose and happiness. Is this making sense? Am I vibing right now? Like, type it, just check in with me real quick, because I know I'm just kind of freestyling and just kind of talking. I get that, right? But just want to wrap with you guys, okay? All right, cool. So we're not going to go too long tonight because that was the one thing I just kept, because I'm seeing it, and I'm seeing people just go right back to the distractions. And what I want you guys is to really, really double down on your discipline, double down on your focus. Even with your products, it's going to be really easy for some people, really easy. The restaurants are open, so I haven't really had a dessert in, like a real dessert in in like 2 or 3 months from my favorite place. And the next thing you realize, you're at that favorite place 5, 6, 7 days in a row, right? The next thing you realize, you're at that favorite bar 5, 6, 7 days in a row. And all of a sudden you don't feel good. You're a little bit sleepy. The brain fog's coming in and you can't quite understand what's going on. And what's going on is that you reverted to old habits as opposed to honoring some of the new habits. Because how many of you type in the chat box, how many of you have found some things out about yourself during this period of time that you really weren't aware of? How many of you guys are seeing how much you've been able to step up? How many of you are realizing that you have the ability to create new accomplishments, to achieve new goals, to feel new ways? Like, how many of you are really like paying attention to the reality of the results that so many of you have been creating in this time? Right? There's this massive expansion that's happening. I'm watching it from the other side of the pond. I'm watching all of you every single day just blossom and blossom and blossom and blossom. But your ego is going to want to do what? Shrink and shrink and shrink and shrink until it gets you to forget that any of this ever happened. It gets you to forget that, nope, you didn't stretch. You didn't accomplish goals. You got lucky. It's because people were in a sense of urgency. No, that's the lie. So I really want you to, eyes wide open, heart wide open, soul wide open, ego closed down. Stay focused. When your friends are rushing back to the bars, rush back to your books. When your family is saying, don't work so hard, work harder. Because just because things are opening up doesn't mean that suddenly all these things are gone away. We're just fighting as a culture to get back to some feeling of normalcy. But you've got to ask yourself the question, what do I want my normalcy to feel like? What do I want to feel like? Do I want it to continue to feel stress-free and abundant? Do I want to put myself in a position so that should something else like this occur, or should this extend or continue on? Am I taking control of my life? Am I writing the script on my destiny? Am I creating my own economy? Am I creating my own belief system? Am I taking care of my family and my results every day with consistency and not getting swept up in the collective consciousness that's saying, no, let's just go back to the way things were? Because what we know for sure, and this is not a political comment, what we know for sure is that for 98% of the population, what most people were doing when it came to their health, when it came to the way they were earning a living, wasn't working. How many of you would agree with that? Just based on results, the system, the new way of thinking, the old way of thinking, the old way of believing, the old way of doing business, the old habits, the old things that society tolerated. Not working. But what has been working is you. And you upgrading your beliefs, and you upgrading your processes, and you upgrading your ability to recognize that you're capable of so much more when you focus intensely and intentionally. So I'm not saying you've got to run around with a chicken like your head cut off. Isogenics. You guys know that. That's the opposite of what I always coach. But what I am saying is the people that have wisdom right now are the people that are going to say, okay, I see everyone rushing back. And I don't mean don't leave your house when I say this. Just hear me loud and clear. Everyone's going to rush back. My strong suggestion, stay laser focused. Stay laser focused. If you want to go out to a happy hour with your friends, you feel safe, you feel good about it, great, go do it. But do it once. Don't do it 5 nights in a row like you used to. Have 1 cocktail, not 3. See what I'm saying? Discipline your habits. Because if you're willing to build on what you just learned about yourself just in these last 30 to 60, 90 days, that can be your life all the time. Not just because of some crazy world experience that just happened. It doesn't have to be, oh no, just because we got forced into the situation. Because when you choose to live out loud about your life, when you choose to live out loud about what you're creating, when you choose to live out loud about creating a new standard, a new tolerance for what you deserve in your life, then you'll move with the same intensity and intentionality that you've been moving with during this entire time. The biggest thing that separates the people that have long-term sustainable businesses is, even though I'm not rushing all the time, I still have this internal sense of urgency, an internal sense of now is the time, now is the time, now is the time. Not because I got forced into my house, not because the economy is drifting like crazy right now. No, because I have a burning desire to always be in control of my economy, to always be able to provide for my family, to never allow somebody else to control how much money I make or what foods I should eat or anything along those lines, to be my own wellness advocate, to do my own research, to be well versed in what it's going to take to get me from where I am to where I deserve to be in my life. Don't let the external factors convince your ego that it's only because what was happening in the world is the reason you've started to create what you've started to create. The reason you've started to create what you've started to create is because your inhibitions got lowered and you said, time for me to get to work in a whole new way. And that's kind of like when you drink. How many of you have ever had the experience where you drink? Like here's a good example. When I drink and somebody asks me to speak Spanish, because I do speak Spanish, I speak perfectly. How many of you, maybe if you speak Dutch, right, or you speak Flemish, how many of you, maybe you have a couple of drinks and all of a sudden it's like, man, my English is just, how many of you have had that experience, right, where your English just feels a little bit better when you had a couple drinks? How many of you have had that, right? I have it when I speak a different language. Do you know why that is? Because you don't think about it. You lower your inhibitions, right? Okay, well, Essie, wine's on me next time because I can't wait to see that. Okay, so you lower your inhibitions. That's why you can just, okay, Dominique, stop showing off, right? You lower your inhibitions, right? And you don't think about it. You don't judge yourself for it. When this whole thing happened, it was like we all got wasted because it lowered all of our inhibitions, all of your fears. What will people think? What are they going to think if I post? What if I invite them to a webinar? All those things went away. Why? Because you said, I got to take care of my life. I got to take care of my family. I know there's a huge opportunity here right now for me and to serve people. So I'm going to rip off the Band-Aid. I'm going to lower my inhibitions because I got to go. And if you can stay in that place of intentionality and focus and intensity sustainably, that's when the magic happens. You're going to see people get distracted. You're going to see people want to go sink back and back and back. But not you. Not you. Channel it, honor it, build upon it, practice it, engage with it, embrace it, understand that you just discovered a part of yourself that you've been looking for your entire life. And it just so happened that it took a world event for you to wake up to the reality and potentiality of who you can be. But now that you know it, and I know it, and Eden knows it, we're not going to let you off the hook. And you shouldn't let yourself off the hook either. Because guess what? We see you know what you're capable of, you just found out. Stay stuck in. Stay really stuck in. I'm not an economic expert. I don't claim to be. But I pay attention to smart people. A year, 2 years, maybe 3 years before the economy really comes back. So for a year, 2, 3 years, people are going to be looking for you. But they're only going to know to find you if you stay stuck in when all the masses go back to what they're used to doing. Stay focused. Don't get caught up with what everyone else is doing, no matter how good you think it'll feel, no matter if you think it's going to make them happy, no matter if you do it because you're a recovering people pleaser. Stay focused on what has kept you moving with urgency, both with your products and with the opportunity like you've never done before. The overall message, I guess, that I'm really trying to communicate is don't get lazy with your thinking. Because you're going to see your peer groups, your friends, your family, your social circles, they're all about to get really lazy with their thinking. They're all about to go back to doing what got them here in the first place in terms of however they were experiencing this whole situation. Don't do that. Please don't do that. When people talk about the 1%, the 1 to 3%, it's because no matter what's happening, no matter what the masses are doing, when they go one way, we go the other. Okay? When they go one way, we go the other. That's what separates us. That's it. That's the big difference. We don't get caught up in the herd. We don't get caught up with where, oh, everyone's going to the bar. Okay, you know what? Just one. It's never just one. It's never just one. It's never just one, especially as you're reconditioning yourself to break free from that mentality. So stay so stuck in. So stuck in. You know? Willem's a great example with his body, right? It's not like, so Willem has reached this amazing peak in his body, right? He's a young guy, but he's got, if he wants to maintain it, got to keep lifting, got to keep eating healthy, right? It's not like he can be like, and he could say, okay, I did it. I'm going to go back to eating all the burgers, all the stroopwafels, right? I'm going to eat 15 stroopwafels a day and just think that he's going to maintain his body. It's never going to happen. You got to stay in it. You got to stay consistent. You got to keep working. But you know what's going to happen? Willem's friends are going, oh man, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. You don't need to train today. You don't need to eat healthy today. No, it's not a big deal. Just one. Those are those dream stealers. Those are the people that aren't comfortable with your greatness. Those are the people that are intimidated by you stretching into new spheres. Okay? Stay laser focused on who you're committed to becoming, especially right now. Again, I'm just going to repeat it. As you see people racing back to the very things that they complained about, make sure that you stay rooted in what you're learning about yourself during this entire process. Stay so rooted, so focused. Again, I'm not saying, just like last week's call we talked about, I want you to build your life and build your business around your life. That's not the point of this. The point is intentionality and intensity. We have no idea when the economic portion of this is going to recover. We have a responsibility to ourselves, to our families, to our communities to stay stuck in and stay focused until. If ever there was a time for you to dig deep and understand that it's time for you to tap into some of those energy reserves to have endurance for the marathon, this is that time. Because right now, marathons usually take place on flat land. When you see all your friends and all your community rushing back to life, all of a sudden it's going to look like you're staring up a steep hill. You go, oh, I don't know if I want to keep going on this journey. Maybe I'll go this way where it's flat like the rest of them. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Because when you keep going and you reach that top, people will ask you, how did you do it? Well, when you chose the flat road, I chose to keep climbing. Keep climbing. Okay. Have a great evening. Dankjewel. Thank you for everything. We appreciate you. We love you. We're grateful for you. Reach out if you have any questions, if I can do anything to be of service to you. Thank you. But again, thank you to all the leaders in the European and UK market. You guys are just so special. You're doing amazing, amazing things. Intensity, intentionality, laser, focus. Have a great evening. We'll talk to everybody soon. Bye, guys.